Hey everybody, welcome to the Unfolding Restoration. My name is Anthony Sweat. I'm so excited in this video to talk to you today about the different First Vision accounts that exist, that give us the details behind this wonderful vision, perhaps, by the way, the most well-documented vision of deity that is found on earth. It's a wonderful thing to have so many accounts. I wish we had even more. So the purpose of this video is to talk about where those accounts come from, why they matter, what each of them say that's unique, and why they bless our life to know about them. So one of the first questions people ask is, why are there different accounts? And why do some of the accounts highlight different details? It's a wonderful question. It's an important question to ask. Let me just kick off by relating a story. One time I was in front of a large group of people, and somebody raised their hand and they said, where did you and your wife meet? And I said, oh, we grew up together, and then when I got off my mission, we hit it off and got married. Well, afterward, my wife said to me, that was the lamest version of our love story that I've ever heard you give. And I said to her, yeah, it was pretty lame, but I don't think they were asking about our love story. They asked where we met and how we got married. And now I said, now if somebody had come on to me in private, or a younger adult or something, and if they said, now, how did you know that your wife was the right one for you? Well, then I would have told some different stories, or I would have gone into different details. The context matters. The purpose matters. Our audience matters when we tell stories. So with the 9 accounts of the First Vision, they're all at different times. They're all in different contexts and different audiences with some different purposes. And that's what I want to talk about with you that's interesting to look at. So there's 3 different reasons that I'd have you focus in on why there's different accounts of the First Vision. The first one has to do with audience or context. Who is Joseph talking to? And what's going on? The second is purpose or content. Why is he saying what he's saying? Because when we have a certain point, we emphasize different content. The third one is simply memory or interpretation. As I've touched on in a previous video, as time goes on, we interpret events differently. Now, sometimes that giving it time gives us clarity to see things more clearly. At other times, it causes us to confound the past a little bit. Scholar Steve Harper, who's probably looked into the memory of Joseph Smith and the idea of memory as closely as anybody alive today with the First Vision, he says, quote, the First Vision accounts reveal that Joseph Smith consciously interpreted the experience and discovered meanings in it later that were not available to him when it occurred. Let me just give you one case in point. The 1838 account of the First Vision. It probably has the most language that deals with feeling persecuted or feeling attacked. Now, I don't think that's coincidental out of all the accounts, because what's going on in church history in 1838? Well, the church is being really heavily persecuted and attacked. We've just been driven out of Kirtland. A few years earlier, we were driven out of Independence, and in 1838, we will be completely driven out of the state of Missouri as a whole. So Joseph has on persecution lens and is remembering that might be forefront in his mind, the persecution that he experienced because of the vision. And that might not have been his frame of reference in 1835 or 1832 or 1842 when he gave another account. So memory also changes how we tell stories as a whole. Now, one thing though that I do want to emphasize, that the First Vision is very consistent. When you take all the accounts, there is a consistent story, a consistent narrative of a young boy who is confused about religion, who goes to the woods to pray, and who has a vision of God, and God directs him about which churches to join and why. That is consistent across all 9 accounts. If you take a look at this wonderful image here that was published clear back in the Improvement era in 1970, taking a look at the different First Vision accounts, showing the different things that they mention, and the green dots are if that is mentioned in that account. You see consistency on a lot of points, even though there is some uniqueness on other accounts as a whole. Some people ask why Joseph didn't record the vision earlier, as though somehow that's a problem. They want to know why he didn't have the vision, and then go right home and write it in his journal, so to speak. Why did Joseph not record the first vision? The earliest account is 1832. I'm going to add a caveat, by the way. I actually think there's an earlier one. If you look in section 20 of the Doctrine and Covenants, Joseph drops a subtle hint to the first vision that if you understand what he's saying, you see that he's referencing the first vision, and that was in 1830. Well, why didn't he talk about it or record it until 1830 or 1832? There's some reasons to think about. It's likely that Joseph didn't fully understand the importance of this event until much later. It was a personal experience for him, this vision, this redemption from his sins, this direction. It's possible that it wasn't until the church was set up and going that he started to see the broader import for other people to learn about it. Also, Joseph was not known to keep a journal, by the way, and to write things down. It won't be until section 85 of the Doctrine and Covenants, when God commands Joseph to keep a regular history of the church, that Joseph very obediently goes out and buys a journal and starts to record his 1832 history of the church. His own mother said that Joseph was not given to reading and writing. He was given a lot to deep thinking as a whole. So maybe Joseph himself just wasn't somebody who wrote a lot. Also, maybe he did write it down, and that document just has yet to be discovered. That's not out of the realm of possibility either, as scholarship continues to happen. And if anybody has a problem with this, by the way, remember, it doesn't appear that Jesus ever wrote anything down himself and didn't record anything in his life. That doesn't mean that the resurrection, the atonement, the miracles, the Gospels didn't happen. All the Gospels were recorded later by other authors as a whole. So just some things to bear in mind when those questions are brought up about why Joseph didn't record the first vision prior to 1832 in detail.